Hello, and welcome to Better Betting. Here are your hosts, the king of Timonium, Gary Quill, and the ruler of the replays, Eric Rubin.
Hey, and welcome to Better Betting. My name is Eric Rubin, and I'm here with my partner, the king of Timonium, Gary Quill. GQ, how be you?
It's a wonderful day today, Eric. It's beginning of week 2 of our reboot. And I think last week, our re-up of our new wave Better Betting, both audio and video. We got enough views to fill 1.5 buses. So good job. And it can only get better from here, right?
Absolutely. I don't know if I love the YouTube stuff, but the podcasts, which were more traditional, we got a few more views, so that was nice. But honestly, I think both of us are in the same boat. If we get 10 people watching or 1,000 people like we were getting before we took the hiatus, what's the difference? We're not trying to make money off of this. So we're just having fun and hopefully helping some people out and giving them some things to think about. So anything before we get into the races? We're going to be covering some races at Saratoga for Saturday. We'll start with race 8 when we get there. It's a late pick 5 on Jim Dandy Day. Before we get into that, GQ, anything of note that you thought you'd bring up? Were you kidding about your political comment earlier in the week?
Yes.
Picking odds? Betting on the vice presidential nominee now?
Actually, I wasn't. If there was a market for it,
There is, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're discussing the exodus of Joe Biden from the campaign and Vice President Kamala Harris needing to pick a vice president. And I'm not a big political person or whatever, but all I know is that one of the swing states is Pennsylvania. So it's a lock that they're going to pick Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania as the VP.
See,
he's a brother of yours, right?
Exactly. See, that's why he's not going to get it. If this was horse racing, that would be a very bad, like 8-5 favorite that you can play against. I can't imagine they'll have. I mean, I can say it, right? I'm allowed to. I can't imagine they pick a Jewish vice president. I'm going to be honest, with a South Asian and black woman at the top. They shouldn't matter, but I'm sure they're not going to do it.
Oh, and people can't say, "Oh, that guy's anti-Semitic," because you are Jewish.
So yes, thank you for outing me now.
You're allowed to say that.
When my side loses the election, now they know to round me up and put me in the camp. So thank you for outing me.
Right.
But anyway,
before we go further, we have to do the new administrative stuff. If you're new, if you found us for the first time, or you watched last time, make sure you hit the subscribe button down. What sides it's on, I don't know. But hit the subscribe, and believe me, you're not going to get inundated saying, "Oh, Better podcast today, the next day." We do this once a week. And we take hiatus during winter break because we're both basketball coaches. So enjoy us during the summer and fall and spring. And hopefully you'll be entertained and maybe, get a couple pointers here or there.
All right, thank you, because I never think to say that, so I appreciate you doing that. We appreciate any retweets, or are they still called that, or if you want to put on Facebook, anything
comments.
Like that.
Are they allowed? Since you're the administrator,
I don't know.
Are they allowed to put comments in?
Only if they're good comments, and I heard you're only allowed to rate it if you give it 5 stars or whatever the highest stars are. Otherwise, it doesn't let you rate it, I think. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and thank God they got rid of the thumbs down there.
Yes, we would have been in negative water, maybe. I don't know. But perhaps we should have just bragged about all our picks, and then
true. You're single in the last race from last week. Won.
Yeah, it wasn't a price, but I'll take it. And then you had your 20-1 shot. I'll give you a little humble brag. Union Trail or something like that. Turf race, 20-1. Very nice call by you. It's funny because obviously we talked about last week, but there are some podcasters who, and public handicappers, who just brag every time they have a winner, even if they mention 3 horses. Regardless, I hate doing that. Every time I post like a winning ticket, which is almost never, maybe like 3 times in my life, I get like 100, not 100, but like 50 new followers on Twitter. I'm like, so if I just keep bragging and posting winners, then I'll probably get more followers, but I just can't do that. So
Well,
I'll give
and
you a little credit.
full disclosure, and the thing is when I previously for the racing biz did the handicapping for the Maryland circuit and put my picks and whatever, I'd post the good and the bad in the next day. It's like, oh, okay, hey, my long shot won and paid $20, but you know what? My best bet was up the track. And conversely, last week, there was the first time starter race and whatever, and I said, oh, this horse is going to be, 5-2 morning line. I'm going to be all over it because we had said, oh, 7 out of the 9 starters of that dam won first time out, and shocked that David put the horse 8-1 morning line. The horse went off as the favorite and backed up like a city dump truck. So, the good and bad. And the thing is, if we were good every single race, we wouldn't be bothered by doing this. All we like to do is share our opinions because everybody's got one, just like a certain part of the body that people say, opinions are like.
Maybe you shouldn't say it. I don't know.
That's why I'm dancing around it.
All
but
right.
Our purpose is to kind of educate, and not that we know everything, but Eric especially has become a student of how to construct tickets, how to bet, and he's living proof that he learned the hard way. And once he kind of saw the light, the way he bets is more profitable to him. And so it's not a secret, and he likes to share that. So that's pretty much why we do this podcast.
Yeah, I've been fortunate that people have been very open and receptive to me and helped me. So, kind of pay it forward here and either help people lose less or possibly win. It's not about just taking the horses we like. I'm not a big fan of people just putting out their picks and saying, oh, these are my picks, these are my top 4 picks, whatever. It's about A, if the handicapping, why you like them so people can learn. And then B, it's how to bet those opinions. So maybe we'll get into it without further ado, because I do like the first race of the sequence we're going to cover. So I'm going to try and share my screen again. Sorry for those listening at home.
Well,
on the radio or podcast version, I should say. Still,
as you share your screen, maybe I can just fill time. Oh, but you were very good. You brought it up pretty quick today.
So anyway, next time if you want to introduce the race, feel free. But it's race 8. We're doing the late pick 5 from Saratoga on Saturday, July 27th. It is a 5.5 furlong sprint for maiden special weights. These are for the girls, and there's a favorite here who is on my screen, happens to be, and that's the one Scarlet Poppy, 2-1 on the morning line. And this is a horse that I'm going to be betting against. I can't argue if you like this horse. It's Wesley Ward. You got Flavian Pratt. You got a little speed in a race that might not have a ton of speed. So I totally understand if you can like this horse. But to me, the race 2 back was actually pretty good, going a mile on the 16th. I thought she ran really well. There were 3 speeds in the race, and the speed collapsed. So I thought that race was dynamite. So the question last race, June 28th, was how would she handle the cut back to 6 furlongs? And on paper, it looks like she did okay, but she chased, this is the one, Scarlet Poppy. She chased a 2-1 horse who won that race, Risk Threshold. And there was a 43-1 shot who chased also, who almost held third. And finished 4th. So basically, this was a race that was kind of like a merry-go-round. And I think Scarlet Poppy benefited from being up close. Maybe that happens again. But I don't want to take a 2-1 shot hoping that there's a really short, slow pace or that she gets an easy lead. I don't know that she can pass horses. It's only been 2 races, but she hasn't. I'd almost rather see this horse go long where she can dictate the pace. And I'm almost hoping this horse runs really badly on Saturday, A, because I'm not betting her. And then B, maybe they'll stretch her out and I can get a price on her. So I'm against Scarlet Poppy, the one here. And there's a few horses I like. that I want to talk about. But GQ, before I do that, maybe I'll throw it over to you so I don't dominate all the talking here and share the wealth. So go ahead.
Okay.
What are your views either on Scarlet Pop if you want to add on or else?
Yeah, coincidentally, and we haven't shared our opinions before, we started recording. I don't have Scarlet Poppy in my top three as well. That, like you said, that last race isn't as good as it appears, for a horse that ran second. Flavian Pratt's been winning everything. I think he's like probably winning over 25% on turf at Saratoga this meet. So automatically, the horse is a risk. I think breaking from the rail, he's forced to go to the lead or try to go to the lead. But I'm not going to waste time talking about a horse I really am going against, like Eric. The first time starter for Linda Rice, the 2, Tipple, is interesting because she's a half to a grade 3 winning Hootenanny who tore up on the turf as well. So I was surprised at the 12-1 morning line on top of the 3 bullets that she turned in. And again, if you're a loyal listener, you know that we really don't take stock in times of workouts, but still, you got to give this horse a look, being a half assist to grade 3 winning Hootenanny. The horse that the filly I put on top was actually the 3 horse Mac Tamor. I like the fact that the cut back in distance. She was supposed to run all 3 of her races on turf. The second one went from turf to the synthetic down at Gulfstream back in March. And then the one at Ellis Park, she stretched out to a mile. He came off, it was on the mud. She showed her early speed and, faded a bit, just didn't have the stamina. So I think cutting back to the original distance that was her, this is 5.5. She went 5 furlongs at Gulfstream in February, which was still during the championship meet, so the good horses were still down there. And, she made up nice ground and came back with a strong number as far as the Brisnets go. So at 12-1, I'm going to be hoping that Mac Tamor can get the money in the first leg of the late pick 5. I'll stop there and then let you take over for any others that you want to mention.
All right, so I like Mac Tamor a lot as well. The 3 horse, I won't really add anything you said other than the 1 turf sprint that you alluded to was her first start. She broke a little slow and speed held well that race. So it was actually impressive for her to make up ground. And like you said, I can excuse the next 2 for reasons that you mentioned. So I definitely like the 3. Horse I actually like maybe the most, I don't know if I have the most, but is the 9. I'm scrolling down to Echo Babe. Echo Babe, the 9 horse, came out of the same race as the 1 horse, Scarlet Poppy, the Ward horse, except that was the race I mentioned was kind of like a merry-go-round race where they kind of ran 1, 2, 3, pretty much around the track. Yeah, that 3rd place horse was 43-1 shot, got passed at the very end. Excuse me. Echo Babe got up to a slow start, brushing the gate. She was checked significantly on the backstretch, stumbled, lost 1 or 2 lengths. There was 0 pace to close into, and it was a layoff. I mean, these are all factors to upgrade. So there's like 4 or 5 different reasons why I upgraded that last trip. Her first race I thought was really good at Saratoga. She dueled a 2-1 shot. I didn't write the name of the horse. I guess I can click on it if you want here. But she dueled a 2-1 shot and finished 6th. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see I'm not lying. And that horse was Baraya, I forgot how to pronounce that, who then came back to win for what it's worth, granted on the dirt. So I don't know if that means anything, but she ran really well there. So I'm a big fan of Echo Babe, the 9. I like the 3. The 7 horse is interesting. The only problem is the 7 has no speed, but Lamorna has run really well. 2 back. She was cut off some at the start, and there wasn't much of a pace. That was the October 13th race. Then she comes off a long layoff, where again, it's that risk threshold race that I just mentioned where there was no pace. So she really had no chance to close into that race. and she was checked awful at the top of the stretch. So if she was going to make a run, she lost all chance to make that run with that check. I don't like that she has no speed. So that's why I prefer the 9, who could show speed, and even the 3, who has a little speed, maybe, or at least a little more. But those are my top 2, 9 and 3. The 7 would be next. So how would I approach this race? Well, I don't really like the 1 that much. And the other favorite, on paper at least, I believe, is the 4, Arisu, for Chad Brown, who, I mean, I'm not a huge breeding or knowledge about pedigree, I should say. But, and I know Scott Daddies, you think of the turf, or at least I do, but there really wasn't that much turf breeding. The siblings are 0 for 5 on the mom's side there. No good on the turf. Mendelssohn's get 12% turf sprinter for what it's worth, which is, I guess, average or whatever, nothing special. So to me, there's no real reason that I need to use Arisu other than I'm afraid of getting knocked out. So when I'm trying to beat the 2 favorites, I definitely want to bet the race. So what am I going to do here? Well, I mentioned the 9, the 3, and the 7. I'm not going to talk about the other horses because we'll be here all day, but the 2 who you mentioned, who has some positive traits there as a first-time starter and could show speed based on the workouts, which would be great if nothing else. Take out the 1. Those are the horses I'd be keying around, and maybe even the 6, Satin Blue, which again I won't bother you with a long conversation. So those are the 5 horses that I'd be using here. I'm going number order: 2, 3, 6, 7, 9 in a pick 5. That's really where I'm going, because to me, if you're going to try and beat a favorite or 2, unless you have someone that you love, like, okay, this horse I don't think is losing, I want to make sure I hit the race. And I think by using those 6 horses, I'm going to hit the race. I then bet extra with the 9 and 3, and maybe even the 7 in like a press or extra pick 5. And I'll get to that when we continue the show, perhaps. But that's where I'm looking this race as far as the pick 5 goes. Now, it depends what happens the other legs, and we'll get to those other legs. But right now, as I'm going through this, I'm like, all right, I want to go deep here to beat the favorite, even though I do like a couple long shots. I would definitely bet the race. What I would do here is I'd key the 9, and I key the 3 also. So how would I do that? Well, I think a 6-horse box is a little wide to go, even if you're leaving out the 2 favorites. So I don't know if I would do that per se, like a 6-horse try box. But I'd probably do 9 with 2, 3, 6, 7 in a exacta box and a triple box. And I do 3 with 2, 6, 7, 9. Again, the numbers aren't as important unless you just want to copy me for some reason. But I'd key my 2 long shots to 12 to 1 and 10 to 1 respectively. And I try and get one of those at least in the top 2 or top 3 to get triples and exactas, leaving out the 2 favorites here. Again, so much depends on other legs in the pick 5. If I'm singling, let's say, not that I'm doing this, but if I was singling, what's the horse in the Jim Dandy? I'm blanking on the Derby horse, came in second, Tyler, and now the Chad Brown.
Sierra Leone.
If I'm singling Sierra Leone, I'm definitely not using the 1 here, Scarlet Poppy, or the 4 Arisu. Not that you can't do that, but I just don't need 2 chalks in the sequence here when I think it's wide open. So that's kind of how I'm approaching the race. I would probably put a win bet on the 9, unless the 3 was a much bigger price, but assuming they're the same, I would go with the 9, a little over the 3. But again, I'm fans of both of them. All right. Should we go to race 9, or?
Just to add your comments on the 7-horse Lamora. I mean, this horse, some horses find their own trouble, and some horses just tend to get in trouble. Every single one of these races, this horse has somewhat of an excuse, but yet still ran well. I'm not too concerned about, is this long enough, because she's coming off of the 6 furlong races, and the horse has answered the call in each of its races and had trouble. So my only concern about backing that horse is, like, every race is it going to be a broken record. The horse is going to get in trouble again. Kind of like horses who break slow, but somehow this horse always finds its own trouble.
All right. I don't disagree with you on that point. And I prefer she comes in second or third in the 3 or 9 win, but so a little trouble is okay, just not too much. But I will be using her, even though, again, I can see leaving her out for the reason you said. And when you lack speed, you have to get a good trip, and might not happen. All right, so let's go on to race 9. This is a first level allowance, optional claimer for 80,000, a mile and 16th on the inner turf. For those not familiar with Saratoga, they have the inner, and then the melon is the outer turf. And I don't know if it's true because I don't have facts and figures, but they say the inner turf, it definitely has tighter turns. That's a fact. Maybe a little more speed friendly with the tighter turns, where the melon might be a little more closer friendly. Again, take it for what it's worth. In this race, there are 4 horses who are 5-1 or lower on the morning line. And then there's everyone else who's double digits. So the good thing for me is, while I don't hate those favorites, only one of them I have any interest in using. And unfortunately, that's the favorite, but that's the 12 risk tolerance. And I know you might say, oh, outside post, 12 post, but they have the length of the stretch to get over. The horse has some tactical speed, so I'm not that worried about it. The outside post, maybe it'll actually help the price a little bit too. But risk tolerance, coming off a maiden win, the 12 horse, I should probably scroll down to them. Again, I'm getting used to, I'm used to being a podcast, not a video thing as well. So risk tolerance, the 12 horse, first race, saved ground, seemingly had a very good trip, but was really held hard throughout like the back stretch and all. And then when let run, mowed him down easily. Had a lot more left. To me, if this horse was asked to run earlier, the horse could have put up a bigger figure and run really well. Ran well, but could have done even better. So, yeah, stepping up in class, and maidens stepping up in class to first level allowance is a big jump, but I don't love the other horse in this race. And that's the one favorite that I want to be involved with. The other ones I have nothing really against, other than I don't care for them that much. The 3 Navy SEALs is going to take a lot of money, if nothing else, because all those grade 1 or group 1, whatever they call them in France, I guess, group 1, group 2, and you had the grade 2 or group 2 in Dubai. I don't know if they call it a grade or group there. So this horse, and if you look, Forever Young, I don't know if our pictures are covering up, but Forever Young is in the PPs there and came in 5th to Forever Young, who was my Derby horse, of course. So going to take a lot of money. I don't know. The horse ran fine on the turf way back. I looked at his maiden breaker back on August 5th. Thought the horse ran pretty well that day, but was also 1-5. Like, I don't know what he beat there. So the horse is fine, but I don't have a reason to take this horse at a short price. The other shorter price horses, am I missing someone on that page? Oh, Main Beach, the 2. Main Beach, I thought, ran pretty well 2 back. I upgraded that performance a little bit, but then last race, I don't know, had to work a little bit early, but that's a fairly easy lead against maidens at Monmouth. Not to knock Monmouth Park, I'll be there in a couple days, but I don't know. It was fine, did the job, but to me, I don't need this horse who much had an easy lead. Again, if it was coming off the race 2 back, I would have been more impressed. I probably would have bet the horse last time, although maybe not at 9-5, but because of the race before. But I don't need that horse here. I am worried because when Chad Brown has multiple horses, the longer one always wins, it seems. So the 2's a little bigger price than the 12. And then the other short priced horse is the 8 West Hollywood. I'll finish with that, then I'll throw to UGQ, and then I'll mention the couple that I want to use here. The 8 horse West Hollywood, just checking my notes here. I had a fairly easy lead early. That was pressed some by the 5-1 winner. I forgot how to pronounce that name, Zverev or something like that. So I probably butchered that, I'm sure. So again, could this horse win? Yes, came in 2nd at this level after breaking his maiden pretty easily. But I thought it was up on a tepid, let's say, pace. And what do I want a short price on a horse who had a beneficial trip last time? That's why I look at it. I'm obviously trying to get overlays and underlays. The horses who I feel are, and in general, who I think are coming off of good trips and are going to be bet as if they ran better than they actually did, I try and avoid. And the horses who had subtle, tough trips, or I have reasons to upgrade them. They dueled with another horse, like a favorite, and put that horse away, or they had subtle trouble or trouble that was not in the PPs, not listed. Those are the horses I'm looking to upgrade because, again, you're looking for overlays to bet and underlays to bet again. So anyway, out of the 4 favorites, the only one that will be on my ticket is that 12 horse, the Chad Brown. Risk tolerance. GQ, I talk too much. I'll throw to you, and then I just want to wrap it up because there are 2 long shots I'm going to use with that horse.
Okay. All right. So here we're yin and yang because I'm taking a stand once again against risk tolerance. Yeah, I didn't think that race came back all that strong as far as the speed figures that I live and die by on the turf, but that's neither here or there. That's just my opinions, and that's why, every race a horse isn't 1-9 because everybody thinks the same. I totally went to another horse that you didn't mention because you basically just mentioned, the logical horses. I went with the 4 Time Song. Um, Back on Lasix, his best races were when he had the juice, and I just think he's a horse that will continue to get better, and that's where I'm coming from with a 15-1 morning line, uh, by the name of the 4 horse Time Song.
10-1, but
Um,
that's okay.
I'm sorry, did I say 10-1?
I think maybe you did. I thought he was 15. Regardless, I shouldn't
He
interrupt.
is 15-1 morning. Yeah. Um, I like the 3. You don't, because I mean he's like turf bred up and down, and the fact that you mentioned, I mean, in my mind, probably one of the best male 3-year-olds uh, is Forever Young. You know, no shame in losing by 8 to him. And Panda Gate, I forget where. I don't know if it was on the West Coast, maybe it was somewhere. If you can bring it up, Panda Gate's last race, Panda Gate won pretty convincingly. So, running against top notch horses, no shame in running 5th by half of a pole. Adds Lasix for the first time. My only question mark as far as backing him is, why would Wesley Ward take this horse to Canterbury? I mean, is it because he knows that the horse can only compete at that kind of level? And so that's my, like them, but these are my question marks. So the 4 and the 3 are the ones that I'm currently leaning toward.
All right. So in this race, the 2 long shots I like are the 1 Sea Singer. Go to that horse here. The 1 horse I thought last race ran fairly well. It was kind of a merry-go-round race last race where speed held. He made up some ground, and he really wasn't a major threat in that race. But to make up ground, I can forgive that. I thought he improved up his last race. It was a stakes race, albeit a restricted 3-year-old race in California. So I don't know how much tougher it was, but it must have been. So I think that horse is improving. I thought last race was better than it looks because I don't think he really had a chance to make up ground. And then the 12 horse would be my 11. I'm sorry, I mentioned the 12 already. The 11 horse, if I'm pronouncing it right, Tafari, who's been at this level for a few races in a row. But I just think this horse is getting better. I thought last race was his best race that he's run ever, even though he has a bigger speed figure in that Gulfstream race. But last race had a little bit of a wide trip. He lacked room much of the stretch. And when he was finally free, he moved out really well and really was making up ground late once free, was running well. So those are the 3 horses I like here. I know others can win, but so I have an option. I can go like my top 3, or I can go like 7, 8 deep. And I'm willing to cut here to those 3 in my pick 5. So I'm going about 5 or 6 deep in the first leg. I'm going to go about 3 deep here with the 1, 11, and the 12. As far as betting the race vertically, I probably would, because I like these prices. I don't hate the favorites. Like you made a case for Navy SEAL, and I'm not against the other favorites as much as I like these horses. So would I bet the race? Probably will bet this race, assuming everyone stays in and the odds are accurate. In which case, you know me, I'm not like a big, let's box 3 horses kind of guy, but I would definitely box the 1, 11, 12 and exactas. I'd probably bet some triples where I'd box in a triple, but I'd also probably add 1, 11, 12 with 1, 11, 12 with a few other horses, and then maybe 1, 11, 12 with a few other horses with 1, 11, 12. So I need the 1, 11, or 12 to win the race, and then they'd have to come in second and or third also in the triples. And if I did the super, it would be very similar as well. So that's how I kind of look at this race. I don't think, as much as I like to bet doubles from the race before because I want to beat the 1 and the 4 of the race before, there's a chance I would do that. But I might only bet the doubles this race into the 1 and the 11 because I don't need a short price on the 12 per se, although maybe I would depending on the prices last race. So I just worry because I don't like spreading too much in doubles. But if I just use like the 3-9 last race, both double-digit odds in race 8, then I can go into the 1, 11, 12 in doubles here and do 2x3, which is spready for me, but they're all prices pretty much except for this 12. So that's kind of how I approach race number 9. Do you want to go on to race 10?
Sure.
All right, the Jim Dandy, 1.125 miles on the dirt, small field, 6 horses. I am the anti-Chad Brown when I say Saratoga would be great if they didn't run stakes races, because the regular races, people complain 10,000, claimers and stuff. You get 8, 10, 12 horses, and then you get the grade 1 and grade 2 with 6 horse fields and 5 horse fields. So anyway, that's a little aside. GQ, since I just talked a lot, I'll let you start with the Jim Dandy here and tell us whatever you want. I guess maybe I'll ask you a question. The two favorites, Sierra Leone and Fierceness, do you like either one? Do you dislike either one? Like both?
Well,
Dislike
I'll
both?
answer that question by saying if there is ever a race that Sierra Leone should win, it should be this race. Even though it's a short, small field, there's plenty of early speed in here that he'll be like, they'll break. And the way I doped out the pace, I've battened down the 3 horse going out for the lead with Fierceness right at his throat, and then Pony Express, the 4 horse, just behind them. And then a couple lengths further back, you're going to have Seize the Gray and Ghoul's Gold stalking those top 3. And about 10 lengths plus back, you're going to have Sierra Leone. I had a future back from last November on Sierra Leone at 36-1 to win the Derby, and everybody knows what happened there. I came back and I trusted Chad Brown would get this horse straight and get rid of all of his problems of lugging in the stretch, and we all saw what happened there. As much as I see Sierra Leone as the winner of this race, will probably win, but somehow will wipe out the fading speed and will be taken down. So that's why this race scares me as such. To me, everybody's going to single one of the 2 favorites, I would assume. Maybe not.
No.
You're not.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
But
most people, I think, because again, people bet interestingly, and it's good to bet against them. But I'm sure people are like, oh, if I use the 1 Sierra Leone, the 6 Fierceness, I'm going to get through this race. So they're going to use both of them. I have a feeling.
Well, I think this is a race where you just take the stand. Basically, at least through the first 2 races of the sequence, we couldn't find a horse that we felt comfortable with. I think of the other horses in here, I think Seize the Gray might be the one that is coming back into play, because even though Seize the Gray made its mark by taking the lead in the Preakness because nobody else could, and Baffert's horse wasn't right. I know that's not common knowledge, but that's how I saw it on Preakness week. So the horse basically stole the race. But if you look back at Seize the Gray's earlier races, they don't need to be on the lead. And again, I'm going back to not paying attention to times, but this is what they publish. And I've never seen an East Coast track, a horse run a 111 6 furlongs anywhere outside of Southern California in a workout. And so hopefully the horse didn't leave his race on the track on the 16th. But I think I take that, and the reason why I'm going back to Seize the Gray is Lucas nearly killed him in that campaign. The horse ran 5 times in a span of 10 weeks. Graded stakes horses don't do that. So I can forgive his Belmont. So that's why I'm giving him a shot in this race. And they're the only 2 I'm giving a shot. If there's going to be a horse, and I still think Batten Down will take the lead, and Fierceness isn't going to get the lead. I think Batten Down is just going to take the lead and go for as long as he can. Now you're
right. I don't. I mean, I don't want to talk people off horses or you. I'm not using Seize the Gray, and I'm not too worried about.
Wait a minute. Who died and left you God of who's going to win the race? Don't say that. Okay, GQ had his say, but now you're going to hear the truth, and now you're going to hear who's definitely going to win. So
No, I'm just saying he's probably not going to win, but I don't want to knock him too much. So, listen, what do I want to talk people up at 6-1 or 8-1 shot?
Hey, you know what?
Look,
There's 6 horses in this race. The fact is, 5 are definitely not going to win.
that is true. That is a point. And if there's a dead heat, only 4 of them won't win. So you never know. But anyway,
yeah, right. So there you go. I just made a dead heat out of Jim.
yeah, 6-way dead heat. That'll kill the price of the pick 5. I don't like Caesar Gray. The one race that he ran that's fast enough, he got an easy lead. You referenced in Pimlico on a track that was friendly to speed. So whatever. Again, you want to use him, that's fine. He won't be anywhere on my tickets. So I've never really been a fierceness guy, the 6-horse. I feel similar to why I don't like Caesar Gray. I feel like that huge speed figure 2-back. I think and those speed figures were crazy that day. I remember there was like a maiden who won. Mind Frame got a huge number, which, he's come back and run well. There was another horse who, what was the name of the horse? I think it actually was in the Derby or Scratch, who put up a crazy figure. So I don't know about the speed figure that day, but also being a weak field, I feel, for the level, and had an easy lead on a speed-friendly track. So did Fierceness run better than it looks in the Derby? Yeah, I mean, horse didn't really have a chance, was chasing 3 wide, an insane pace in the Derby. So I upgraded the Derby big time, but I didn't like him before the Derby. If you liked him before the Derby, I wouldn't get off of him, but I didn't like him going into Derby. If you remember, that was like a play against for me. And I just didn't like him then. So I'm not going to like him now. But again, I'd upgrade his Derby. One thing I don't like about it, even though I'd upgrade the Derby, is he was in basically a 3-way speed duel in the Derby. And again, insane pace. But Track Phantom, who I didn't love that day, was 41-1 in the Derby. This horse never actually passed Track Phantom. So, and I don't like Track Phantom that much, who I thought ran a better race. So anyway, I'm not in Fierceness's camp. If he was a lone speed here, which again, maybe he'll go. I know you said you think someone else is going back down, but I have no idea how the pace will play out, but it looks like there's pace. Just remember, it's New York. So in New York, there's signs, no speeding. So you can't really go too fast early. You're not allowed. So I don't know how much pace there actually will be. So who do I like? Well, listen, Sierra Leone, I like going into the Derby. So I only use Forever Young and Sierra Leone. I threw Just Steel in some tries and stuff like that, but it was basically Sierra Leone and Forever Young. And of course, I lost 2 heartbreakers there because either one would have won. I think it was live for like 6,000 or 4,000. I forgot how much it was. And neither one can get by Mystic Dan. Kind of sucked because they hit each other and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. Sierra Leone should be tough here. He's a short price. But the horse that I like actually, because of the price, and Sierra Leone's probably a better horse, but is 5, Gould's Gold, Ken McPeak, who I think has won a couple big races this year with Brian Hernandez. That's not why I like him, but just a little bonus. So 2-back at Pimlico and the Sir Barton. I thought the horse ran pretty well, was chasing 3 wide in a duel. And one of the horses he dueled with was Imperial Gun. I think that's how you pronounce it. Who came in 3rd. Again, a 2-1. So I thought ran a very nice race, improved from the race before. And then last race was in the Ohio Derby. I should probably go to the, again, I keep forgetting. I know people listening on the podcast don't care, but for those watching, goals. Then it goes in the Ohio Derby where your buddy Batten Down just got an easy lead. How are you going to run down a good horse with an easy lead like that? Today, there should be a little bit more pace. So I'm hoping that the 5 could sit off of the pace. I don't care how far back, but I hope there's a little pace. And I think this horse has a chance to close. I think last race was much better than it looks, trying to get into that pace that didn't exist in the Ohio Derby. I know the time looks fast, but again, Batten Down had it easy that day. So for me, Gould's Gold is a horse that I want to bet here. Now, as far as pick 5 goes, I know some smart people have said don't use 2 horses in a race because it doubles your bet and you're better off just picking one of them. And then you can either spread more elsewhere, a lot more elsewhere, or bet $1 instead of 50 cents. The thing is, I'm using prices elsewhere. I'm not using the favorites in the first leg. I got rid of almost all the favorites in the second leg except for one. So I am going to try and use the 1 and the 5 here because even if Sierra Leone wins, I'm still going to have a nice paying ticket, I think. And you'll see coming up, I'm going to be doing a lot of crazy stuff as far as prices. So I'm okay with that. If I was a little chalky in the other legs, I would just go Gould's Gold. So if you're someone who is betting that Ward horse, you do like the Chad Brown in the second leg or the other favorites, I don't know if you want Sierra Leone 2 or Fierceness. I think a lot of people are, like you said, are 2 deep. And I think Batten Down would be the wise guy horse, so people might go 3 deep. So I think Gould's Gold will be play huge in the pick 5. So I could single that horse, and I might do that on some tickets. But for the most part, I'm going to be 1-5 Sierra Leone, Gould's Gold, hope for a little bit of a pace. GQ, any final thoughts, or should we move on?
we can move on. I think we've beaten
Yeah,
the
a 6-horse
Jim
field.
Dandy to death.
All right, let's try and I will definitely do it from my end. Let's try and speed up a little because I know we're going longer. We've been trying to shorten the podcast here. All right, so race 11 is a state bred first level allowance. On the turf is the melon, the outer turf going a mile and 16th. And this is the one racing sequence. I don't have much of an opinion, so therefore I don't have to speak much about it. The horse I prefer is the 9 Easy Roll. Going to him now for Tom Morley. Nothing really like clever or fancy. I just feel like this horse came off the layoff as a 3-year-old, ran okay with an outside post, then comes back and ran even better the next out. So I think this horse is taking another step forward. I know the DRF says like C for closer last race. That's not true. It played evenly. It didn't benefit speed or closers. I didn't think that race. So to me, it's just a horse who improved last time. Morley's been doing fairly well the last few months. And I just think the horse can take another step forward. Do I love this horse? No, that's the horse I preferred. Gun to my head. I had to pick a horse to bet at 6-1. That's the horse I would take. There's a few others in here that I would use. Definitely. I'm going to spread as much as I can, but GQ, I'll let you say what you want about this race.
This is a great sequence of races because we're talking about different horses, which is great because maybe we'll be right half of the time. But anyway, it was a tough race for me to really zone in on. I have varying opinions, and I'll just touch on each. I like the 4-horse 6-1 Gem Mint T. The last race wasn't too great, and you're like, oh, but Pratt jumps off, and he's going to be riding the 10-horse for I think D'Angelo. Yeah, that's a concern. He was beaten favorite, so he was supposed to win that race, and he just backed up in the last 100 yards. But I go back to the race before in April where his mid and closing speed figures, as far as Brisnet goes, those two combined are the best of any of the runners in here. The last couple turf races going a mile and an eighth, mile and a 16th. And I think with Luis Saez getting on for the first time, and Saez has not had a good Saratoga meet so far, it's like 2 for 40 or 50. Hopefully Saez, gets the horse to the front because I don't see a lot of speed in here. I don't think the 3, even though Carmouche is on him, and Carmouche hustles horses to the front. The 4, I think, is quicker and can get the first couple furlongs quicker than the 2. So I'm hoping that maybe Saez can just nurse this horse along and go the distance, the 4-horse. Speaking of Pratt, I do like the 8-horse mainly because I think the horse, believe it or not, is probably rounding back into its sophomore year or 3-year-old year. Going from
what number GQ? I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I'm sorry, no. I'm sorry, not number 8, number 10. Number 10.
Thank you.
Willing to risk it all.
Very good.
Yeah, I almost stumbled over that one. I mean, blinkers go off. There's tactical speed there. It's interesting that Pratt lands here when over the past year, and Jose D'Angelo has his fair share of runners, nearly 500 halfway through the year, starters. Pratt's only ridden for him 3 times in the past year, 365 days. Hasn't rode a winner for him, but I just think it's interesting. Excuse me, that Pratt lands here, but I see it. I look at his 2023 form, and I think he's slowly getting back that he ran. This is a New York bred race. That last one, that optional claimer, was against Open. So he's getting back with his own kind, and I think at 8-1, I'm not sure we're going to get 8-1 on him there. And then the other horse. So the 4, the 10, and I think I went with the. No, I'm wrong. So the you can go back to you if I find the
Great,
other horse. I wrote down the wrong
great.
one. Oh, I'm
Anyway,
sorry. I'm
oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah. I like the one horse, Clear Conscience, 4-1, likely. Never been out of the money at this distance. Third off the layoff. Everything's coming together that JC can uh, get the most out of this horse and hopefully be in the mix coming down the stretch. So I'm 4-10-1.
All right. And like I said, I don't really have much of an opinion, so I don't have to talk too much about the race at all. If I bet the race, I might throw like a few bucks on the 9 to win if he's 6-1 or 8-1 or whatever. If he's the shorter price, I probably wouldn't bet him to win. I'm going to spread here in the pick 5. I'm just going to go as deep as I possibly can here. I don't really have much opinion, so I don't want to tell people, oh, I like this horse, that horse. I don't know, but I will be going fairly deep here. And on one ticket, I'll single the 9, figuring, hey, instead of going like 6, 7 deep, whatever it is, let me just use the 9 on one ticket, single it. I can go a little deeper in the other legs, and if I get lucky with that selection, then I'm in good shape. But it's not like when I talk about singles, like last week, what was it, Major Dude? That was where I bet a bunch of tickets, but every single ticket was single to Major Dude. I had other singles potentially in the mix too. That's not what I mean here. This is not going to be an every ticket single, but he'll be a single on several, or at least one ticket, the 9 horse in race number 11. And that's easy roll. Let's go to race 12 and finish this off then. So in this race, it is a maiden special weight, state bred again. People don't like these, like the end with the state bred. This one's not a claiming, so maybe they won't mind, but the maidens going long on the turf often. You get like 12 horse fields. I like it because you get the big field sides. I don't care what the level is. I'm trying to find it, stalling as I talk to find it on the screen here. And in this race, I actually like a really big long shot here. And I'm gonna make a lot of bets through this horse. These horse I might actually single in several pick 5s. I don't know about everyone. I might use a little deeper. And I'll try and talk about that before we get off what I mean. But I got to find the horse because he's not in number order here. And there he is. Number 2, a CC, I guess. I'm sorry. It's not my, isn't that like a St. Thomas, St. someone? Who's a CC?
Francis of Assisi.
Oh, there you go. He was like a priest from Portugal or something like that. Or am I making that up?
You're close enough.
All right. Close enough. Not bad for someone who doesn't know that religion at all. So
Never
anyway,
got to the New Testament.
Yeah, thank you. So it's all Greek to me. So the 2 horse at CC, what do I like about this horse? I don't know. I got to turn my page because I wrote on my PPs.
James Bond, the trainer.
Well, I like James Bond. He wins in Saratoga, but that's not the only reason. All right. Anyway, so last race, June 8th, only 3rd start, 2nd off a layoff. The jockey, Louis Saez, had a lot of horse, and he was totally stopped late. I can't even read what I wrote here, but he got totally, I know it said steady, 5/16. He got totally stopped, lost all momentum, and really had no chance. And I think the horse or the jockey had horse that race. And I really think he would have made it a race. So look at like the 10 horse. So I'm not against. I actually didn't dislike this horse last time. Northern Lady. That horse came in 2nd in the race. Autumn, who's a shorter price, came in 3rd. I honestly think Assisi would have been right there with him. Now, it's a lot of guessing on my part. I don't really know for sure because I'm assuming, but it looked, if you watch the replay, maybe next week I'll try and get replay. I could get replays up, but by the time I get it, it'll take like a half hour for me to figure it out. But totally got stopped. And to me, I want to give this horse another chance at a price. Let me see if should I try it, or is that like a waste for people listening on the podcast? I'll try and get it as I finish up here. So that's the horse that I'm going to key around, a CC. There's some other things I'm going to do here, but at 20-1, there's going to be a horse I'm going to bet to win. There's a horse where I'm going to key in exactas and triples. I'm going to single in a lot of pick 5s and hope I'm right with this bomb. And again, there's some other horses I'll use, and I'll wrap up the ticket structure at the end here. But if you looked at this race, can you see this, GQ?
Yeah. So
I'm looking what number a CC is. A CC was...
CC is the 4 horse with the white blaze.
No, it's
second
not the
off
4
the
horse.
ramp.
Not the 4, the 1 horse. Post might have been that, but it's the 1 horse. So a CC is in the blue right here. I'm going to fast forward because people on the listening don't want to hear it. But here's the one at CC where my arrow is here. Sorry, I don't have like a telestrator. So the horse, I mean, he to me has a lot of horse here. I mean, he's letting him out a little bit, but he has some horse right there. I'll get my arrow away again. The one, and they're just
Yeah.
to me lost all chance. Still has nowhere to run. Still has nowhere to run. Still has nowhere to run. Now, he still hasn't touched me. He's all the way in the back here. Now he finally is able to get, and then he had to kind of wait for the 4 to go by. And again, he doesn't really try too hard here at the end. He's not really doing much with him. Yeah, he doesn't I mean, he's gaining a little bit. Well, not really, but I think he finishes 7th. But he never really tried on the horse after. So maybe I'm way off, but I just feel like I would give that horse another chance. Why not at a big price when I don't really love anyone else here? So GQ, I'll let you that was our first video incorporation.
Wow.
That worked out well.
I'm impressed. That was nice.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, why don't you speak your mind about this race quickly, and then I'll wrap it up quickly.
Okay. I finally got the chalk here in the last race. I'm liking the 4-horse why can't I say whirl?
I don't know. You just did.
Summer whirl.
It's like when you say Oriole, your southern accent. Oriole. Whirl.
Yeah, it's that southern accent I have, south of the Mason-Dixon line. That's what. Summer whirl, just improving, only a 3rd lifetime race. Lost by a neck as a 3-2 favorite. But still the numbers show that the horse should continue to improve. And actually, Graham Motion, Mid-Atlantic based trainer, and is owned by the woman trading as Hillwood Stable, who owned my Horse Crush cord maker, who ran 3rd in the Pimlico Special a few years back. But that's not the reason why I like the horse. I'm kind of against the 1 horse, the 9-2 Miss City Girl, mainly because the horse that she lost to in that last race, Bunny Honey, came back, I think, on Sunday. First race against winners, really didn't do that much. Was a non-factor, so I'm not sure if that race just impressed Miss City Girl. So at the 9-2 price, I take a stand against using her. The bomb that I like is the 8 horse. Now I'm on the 8 horse. Last race I said 8, but it was 10. It's Princess Summer, 15-1. Typical Mike Maker stretching the horse out after a claim. That puts blinkers on. The horse, was checked, and Alvarado just eased up the horse. And that was the race. That was claimed for 75. So might be off base, but this is the trainer's MO. This is what he does, and does very well. So at a price, I'd be using the 8 horse Princess Summer. And finally, the 10 horse North End Lady kind of showed that she was part of that video. I think she still had, is a 5-1 for a reason here, but obviously, I think this is a really good sequence because you and I really haven't come on, this recording and said, "Oh, I can't wait until Saturday, this race, because I'm going to unload on this horse." We found a lot of nice prices, but it's not like we're sticking our neck out to just single those horses. Maybe you eventually will, but hopefully in our analysis, we've given the listeners and watchers something to think about as they do their own analysis of these races.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the 2 horses probably to beat Summer World, the 4 horse, who really, Autumn, who is in this race, had an easy lead in that race. If you can look at Autumn there, July 5th. And Summer World almost ran her down, was actually going by at the wire, and obviously has more upside. My concern is there's not much pace on paper here at all. So Summer Whirl is up against it pace-wise, but I mean, arguably the horse to beat. And then North End Lady, the 10 horse who you mentioned, who I thought ran pretty well off the layoff last time in a fairly contested pace. I thought did a pretty good job, and maybe goes. I don't know if Autumn's fast enough to go again, but it'll be interesting to see how the pace plays out. But I think the 4 and 10 are two of the horses. I don't want to talk longer, so I'll just mention on my deeper ticket, I'm going to use a 7, Bobby M's Girl, who's had excuses and trouble, especially two-back had major trouble, Bobby M's Girl. And then last race, Bobby M's Girl, not as much trouble. I kind of disappointed. I thought the horse would run better. So maybe I'm off on that horse, but 20 to 1, I'm going to take a shot. Horse was bumped on turn 2, lost some momentum. First trip was awful. So coming off of that first trip, I upgraded that and again, didn't improve as much as I like. It was 6 to 1. I wouldn't bet Bobby M's Girl, but at 20 to 1, I like her. So that's another horse I'm going to be using here. And I think we kind of covered any other. Oh, and the 8 horse, I would throw in my deeper tickets as well, but you mentioned that already. So as far as like a pick 5 goes, I'm going to be.
Hold on, before you
Yeah,
get
go
it,
ahead.
just slide up to Autumn, number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't point out a second.
I know what you're pointing out. There you go. So GQ, like second time blinkers, Autumn. I don't know if it means anything, but the point is with the blinkers showed more speed. So chances are we'll show speed today. So maybe that, if the 10 goes, they kind of, hurt each other. Hopefully Autumn doesn't get it easily because I'm not probably using Autumn on my tickets most likely. My only problem in the sequence, I don't have like a surefire single, which I really generally when I have one, I feel good about the ticket, and then I can move around some other pieces and stick with that one. Like I mentioned last week, it wasn't a great price, but Major Dude, I can single on every ticket. So it's easy. It's almost like betting pick 4s otherwise. And it's easier to afford multiple tickets and move things around. On this one, I don't necessarily have a surefire single. I'm sorry. In the first race, I like kind of those prices. In race 8, I want to use. In race 9, I'm going to go 3 deep on pretty much every ticket that I mentioned with the 1, 11, 12. In race 10, the Jim Dandy, I'm going to use Sierra Leone and Gould's Gold. Maybe I'll single Gould's Gold on some tickets there. In race 11, I'm going to go very deep, but I'm going to single the 9 Easy Roller or Easy Roll on some tickets. And then same thing with the CC in the last race. I'm going to single on some tickets, but otherwise I'll be like 5 or 6 deep with the horses that we mentioned. So try and mix and match, and hopefully I can get something right there. And that's kind of how I'm playing it. So while I like the races, there's a lot of chalk I don't necessarily love. Coming up with a pick 5 ticket is not easy, or pick 5 tickets is not necessarily easy for me. But again, if you have a race where you can single, like whether it's Sierra Leone or Fierceness, even if you're singling one of them, that's fine. I mean, they're going to be short price, but if you feel they're worth it, you can turn into a pick 4 if you're confident in them. I got to decide if Gould's Gold is worth a single, if he can really beat those top horses. I might end up just singling him on all tickets and forget Sierra Leone. But then I'm like, wait, if a CC wins, if that 9 wins, imagine the 9 wins the first at 12 to 1, a CC wins the last at 20 to 1, and I don't have it, and another price, and I don't have it because I don't use Sierra Leone. So that's where I want to use Sierra Leone, at least with the long shots in the other race that I have, just so I don't get knocked out by Sierra Leone with other bombs. But if you have like chalk in the other legs, maybe it's worth kicking out there. And I said that last race, I'm probably not going to bet. Well, I'm going to bet. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to bet the 2 with CC. I'll bet win. And then I'll bet her in exactas and triples, basically with the horses we mentioned. 2 of them are chalks, but 4, 7, 8, 10 are the main ones that I'll be betting her with. I might even throw in a few others with her if she's that big a price when we get to it. So GQ, any final thoughts to wrap things up?
Nope. It's great. And just 2 weeks in, you become an expert in handling talking and scrolling through your DRFs and sharing it. So kudos to you for pulling this all together, and bigger and better things. And hopefully we've mentioned enough horses that there are some winners out
we
there.
Mentioned enough that we can brag every race. Oh, we mentioned the winner. Oh, that's not us, but we might do that. I don't know. All right. So on that note, good luck everyone this weekend at the races. I'll be at Monmouth Park for the weekend. So anyone out there coming to Monmouth, feel free to reach out on Twitter, BanditsBB, or if I know you, you can text me or whatever. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, GQ. I wish you luck. I wish everyone out there luck. Enjoy the races. Ta-ta.